I'll hand you over now to our first panelist for tonight, which is Dr. Kevin Denny, who's going to give the judge's perspective.
So thank you, Rachel. So yeah, I'm in the School of Economics in UCD, and I've been involved with YEOTY for not since the beginning, but not long after, I think. And so I've been a judge, and I've seen many projects, and it's been a great privilege, and I've learned a lot from them. So I've a few bits of advice, a few bullet points, so to speak, that I'll give based on my experience. I think the first thing is it's good to have a well-defined research question. So the project should be organized around a question. And that could be, does X affect Y, or what's happened to the trend in inequality or something? And that might sound obvious, but I have this conversation with my master's students and PhD students all the time, where I have to drill into them. You have to have a well-defined research question, and it comes easier for some than others. So that's the first thing. And then the next thing is that your students have to sell the topic. So they've got to just, they might be interested in something, but they have to realize that they want to convince other people that it's important. And so obviously linking it to, contemporary events or issues. I mean, Rachel gave many examples there, things like climate change or inequality. We've had projects on fast fashion. I think Taylor Swift has made at least one appearance in YEOTY. Sport is another good area that we get quite a few projects on sport because people are interested in sport, and because there's lots and lots of data. The next thing I'd say is if the students can collect data, that's a good thing. I think it certainly impresses me when students go out and collect data. Now, obviously, there are limits to what's feasible, but we've had some fantastic projects where students did experiments. They came up with a hypothesis and they went and did a little experiment, or that's quite ambitious, or they maybe did a survey. And it could be the survey of other students in the school or something like that. Because ultimately you learn economics by doing it. And so if that's something that's feasible for what they want to do, I think you should encourage them to do that, and they may need some help as well. Another factor I'd say is that the students have to be open-minded. And by that, I mean, they shouldn't set out to prove something. Sometimes you'll get a project and they say, I set out to prove this. And that's a really bad sign, because it's saying that their mind was made up. So you should set out to investigate a question, and then you find whatever you find, and you may like the results or you may not like the results, but they shouldn't have a predetermined view of the world before they start their project. One other thing that we all have to learn to do as we develop as economists is to use the appropriate language. Use the language of economics. That will impress a judge, because they're writing, they're using the correct terminology, and so that's always nice to see. Obviously, we would have higher expectations for, say, leaving cert students than first year students and so on, but it's something that they should aspire to do. Really only one or two other things I want to say. I've often been impressed by the imaginative use of media by the students. A lot of the students are fantastic at putting together presentations. Some have used video, some have used audio, because it just makes it more interesting. If it's just an essay type text, it can be a bit boring. So I would encourage you to encourage your students to make the project look fun, and to use their imagination. And we've had some. I mean, I remember a project. One of the ones I can remember best from early on was two students, two girls, who did a rap battle. So one of them was extolling the virtues of capitalism, and the other one was extolling the virtues of communism. And it was just a brilliant piece of work. It was a video that they made. So whatever it is, I mean, I just encourage them to use their imagination. Now I know Chris is going to talk about charts and graphs, so I won't step on his toes, but I would emphasize, I endorse whatever Chris is going to say, because I'm sure he'd give great advice, that, charts and graphs are something we all have to use in our research and our teaching. And clear labeling, documenting sources is all really important, and explaining what it means. Don't just drop the chart in the project without explaining it, because sometimes that people do forget. But those are the main things I wanted to talk about. Uh, and I can stay around for about another 10 minutes, but then I have to go. So I'll hand it back to Rachel.